Hello, everybody! I'm so excited to have you all here. First things first, if you can hear me, please let me know in the comments below. I want to make sure everyone can hear me. And I've got my chat up here. Yay, you can hear me. Amazing. I'm so excited you guys are here with me. I was just looking in the chats to see where everybody is from, and holy cow, we have such an international crowd today. So I first have to give my huge shout out to my friends from Australia. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, so the fact that you show up here with me live is just so nice. Thank you so much. I saw Finland, Poland, UK, Canada. And then, of course, all of my friends here in the States with me. I am in upstate New York. I just saw someone say you're from East Avon. Hello, we're neighbors. I see so many familiar faces. Susan, Jim, thank you everybody for being here with me. Oh, hi Shannon. I'm super excited. I love when I see like my people and I see faces and I'm like, I know everyone. Really excited you guys are joining me here today. If you're a follower, you might know that I'm really getting into these live presentations. If you guys don't know, okay, so first I should introduce myself just in case I'm new to anybody. My name is Emily Kyle. I am originally a registered dietitian, nutritionist, used to work in a hospital and give people their ensures. Anyways, I ended up becoming a holistic cannabis practitioner because that's a little more aligned with my values. And so I went back to school and did studies and got the education I need. And now I've been doing cannabis education full time for the last 5 years. Not recently, I have a 4-year-old now, but I did take a lot of time off to do the mommy thing. And now that my son, he's going to preschool this year, it's time for me to get back in the saddle and start giving more live presentations and doing what I love. So if you can't tell, I love presenting live. When I was a dietitian, I actually was like a TV dietitian, so I got to do a ton of live news segments, and so presenting is just part of who I am. I really love it. I have to put this out in the universe. My ultimate goal when I grow up is I want to be like America's news cannabis correspondent. So hopefully you'll see me on the news one day talking about cannabis. Anyway, I like to put that out into the universe so it hears me and my goals happen sooner. Now, if you're here with me today, we're talking about all things tinctures, and I'm so excited you're joining me because I feel like for so long I didn't give tinctures the love that they deserve because I was afraid of the alcohol and afraid of the process. So my biggest goal here today is to make you feel comfortable. This is a basics class, so I'm covering the basics, and I want to get to a point where if you're on the fence about tinctures and if you don't know if it's right for you or not, I want this course, this class, free class here to be what helps you decide, is this right for me? Is this a method I want to try? And is it going to be right for me in my lifestyle? So that's exactly what I'm going to show you here today. Let me share my screen and my presentation and we will get started. So, again, I already talked so much, but like I said, I'm excited to be here. This is the Tincture Basics Masterclass. So we're basically covering what is a tincture, what do you need to make a tincture, why would you want to make a tincture, and what can you do with it at the end. Again, if you don't know me, my name is Emily Kyle, registered dietitian nutritionist, certified holistic cannabis practitioner, and really thankful and grateful to be here and to be your teacher and your coach and your friend. So thank you for being here. I hope that this is a fun presentation for you. If you have joined any of my live classes before, like I don't want them to be stuffy. Like I do dream of being like a college cannabis professor, but I wouldn't want to be one of those boring professors. So I hope you have fun while you're here. Please use the chat box. You can connect with other people in the chat. You can also ask me questions. We'll do the question thing, of course. Absolutely. Let's talk about our agenda here. So I have a great presentation put together covering the important tincture basics. Again, this is super, super basic. I want this to be for my absolute beginners, and I just, again, want it to be helpful if you're deciding if it's the right thing for you or not. Then at the end, if you do decide that is the right thing for you, I'm going to talk about your next steps. And what is coming next is my Tinctures to Fico medicine making workshop. So we'll talk about that afterwards. And then, of course, I'm here to answer questions. So you can put them in the chat. You can save them till the end. To be honest, the way I do questions, it's pretty sporadic. Whatever I pull from the chat, I will pull. I never mean to exclude anybody or miss anybody. So if you feel like you have a really important question and I did happen to miss you, my inbox is open. Email me. It's support@emilykylenutrition.com. I'll be here to help you. Again, I get like excited and into the presentation, so I might miss a couple questions. I do try and like condense them at the end, so we're not doing the same thing over. So if I'm just moving fast, know that it's nothing personal. And then, of course, if you have to leave early, I know it's a busy day, I'm absolutely going to record this and then I'll send it out so that you can watch it over again. And it'll probably be available, I think, for about 10 days before I take it down. So if you want to share it with anybody, if you think it's helpful for anyone else, we can share it. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. Alrighty. Okay. I want to make sure you're in the right spot. I don't want you to feel like you're lost. So let's make sure you're here. If this class is right for you, again, you're thinking about tinctures, you're curious, or maybe you've even made one before or you've made a few before and you're like, I didn't love it. I wish I loved it more. Everyone talks about liking it, but it's not working for me. Maybe you've tried it before, but it was either like weak or like you're like, oh my God, it's burning. Like, how could I ever take enough to enjoy it? We'll talk about that. Inconsistent results can be difficult too. People can get impatient. We want it to be perfect the first time. This class is definitely for you if you feel overwhelmed about all the conflicting information out there about tincture making. Like, I don't know about you, but when I first started learning about tinctures, there was this method, and then this guru said this and that and everything. What I like to do is like give you like basic science, and then we're gonna kind of weave in like the art part of it. That's the beautiful thing about tincture making. Whether it's a cannabis-based tincture or another herbal-based tincture, it's really like science and art together. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. I hope this really simplifies everything and makes you feel like, okay, I feel I got this. I got the concept. Is definitely for you if you're nervous about working with alcohol, because that was me. I was like, I don't know. I don't know why I was so scared of it. Now I'm like, oh my God, it's no big deal. Like I use nail polish remover all the time. Like, and that's way worse. I don't know why I was worried about the alcohol. But I want you to feel confident and comfortable too. So we'll talk about that. And then I'm just here to, be your step-by-step guide and just get you to point A, which is where you are today, feeling maybe a little bit nervous, a little bit apprehensive, where I want you to be at point B, where you feel confident and you're like, yes, I can make my own remedies at home. I know what to do. I am my own medicine maker. Essentially, that's what we're doing is, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if I can even say that we're medicine making, but that's what we're doing, and that's what I'm teaching you here today. Okay, I want, if you have used a tincture before, and if you found it beneficial, I would love for you to help the other people here who maybe have not found, like, they're like, why would I use a tincture? What is the benefit of a tincture? So I'd love for you to share in the comments. If you're someone who have found a benefit of tinctures, please let me know in the comments below. Ultimately, my goal here is I want this to be easy and I want this to be less overwhelming because if you've done any kind of learning with me before, my goal is that you feel confident in the decision-making process so that when you are in the kitchen, you're not constantly second guessing yourself and you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. So that way you feel like really in control of the process. And for a lot of us, we don't want to waste a lot of money or time or product. So we really want to make sure that you're feeling confident because at the end of the day, this entire cannabis journey, whether you're making a tincture or whatever the heck you're making, the reason we all use cannabis in the first place is so that we can feel better. And when we feel better, we can do things that we love. We can be with our family. And at the end of the day, for me, it comes down to like quality of life. So that's really what I'm hoping for here is how I can teach you how tinctures can really help you improve your quality of life. I will get into this, but me personally, so like how do tinctures change my life? To be honest, I'm going to teach you this in a minute, but like tinctures are like the halfway point for me. Like I always bring it to FICO, unless I'm making like a cocktail, a mocktail or something where alcohol would be appropriate. We'll talk about that, but just so for reference, when you guys like, I'm not using alcohol in a lot of things. I'm either evaporating it off or I'm using a tincture like in a specific way, but we're going to talk about all that. Okay. Let's talk about the benefits because first, before anything, I want you to be like, well, why would this be more beneficial than, say, a butter infusion or an oil infusion? Which those are great options too. Like at the end of the day, if you find that tinctures aren't right for you, I don't want you to feel like, oh, I don't have another option. There are plenty of options. Tinctures aren't the end all be all. But if you do feel like they're right for you, the biggest for me, and maybe everyone, the biggest bonus for me is potency. When we're making tinctures, if we're doing the process properly, we're getting almost roughly, I don't have the lab test, but we're hoping for 95% or more of the trichome removal from the plant, which means that we're getting almost everything that is there. And so what happens is when we make a tincture, we're taking everything and it's in the tincture. But because we can take the alcohol off, we can really close, like shorten our volume. So we can go from like a 200 milliliter tincture down to 5 milliliters of FICO. Both of those, say you were going to make, I don't know, one single serve cookie. It would be too hard to get that 200 milliliters of alcohol-based tincture into a cookie, but it'd be really easy to get that 5 milliliters into that cookie. And so it's a really like it's a volume consideration as well as a potency consideration. So when you're making tinctures, and especially if you're evaporating off the alcohol, you can create highly concentrated doses. So this really is ideal for my folks who have very high tolerances. I don't know. Do you guys know what your tolerance is? Apparently, I have a really low tolerance because I asked on Facebook, I don't know if you saw my reel, where I was like, what's your ideal edible dosage tolerance? And I was like shocked. People were like 5,000 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams. And I was like, I'm over here at like 15 milligrams of THC is good for me. So maybe my need for potency isn't as high as everybody else. But I recognize that some people, I guess a lot of people, need like super high doses. So if you're someone who really needs 100 milligrams or more per serving, this is really your ideal way to get that potency in because you can also reduce the volume. So, like, if you're making a butter and oil infusion, the problem is when like you can only put so much butter and flour together, right? Like if you have a half a cup of butter and you want to put in an ounce of flour, if the butter doesn't all cover the flour, it's not even really doable. So that's where this allows you to continue to concentrate your potency in smaller and smaller volumes, and then you'll have higher potency, higher concentrated doses in your edibles. So if you need super high potency, or if you're just looking to be more effective, that's that. Next benefit is better taste. So whenever we're making edible, I always laugh. People are like, ew, this is gross. It tastes like cannabis. And I'm like, I know you made it with cannabis. And I don't want to be snarky. I understand the taste, if you haven't told you before, the taste is associated with chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is associated with the color green. And so that doesn't taste good. So if we can prevent that from getting into our end product will taste better. So when we do tincture making, and I'll talk about the two different processes, green dragon versus golden dragon. We're going to talk about why the golden dragon has less chlorophyll, therefore tastes better. I mean, if you're I was looking at no more harsh smoke or bitter edibles. It will make your edibles taste better. And I don't know if you smoke or not. I don't care if you smoke or not. But if you are looking for a smoking alternative, this is a great way. Number three is discretion. Easy to use and carry without drawing attention. So depending on where you live, like we're all in different legal states and all obviously in different legal countries. And so obviously one of the huge benefits is the lack of smoke, right? So I always tell people one of my biggest issues was when I became a mom again 4 years ago. I love smoking, but I didn't want to smoke and I didn't want to smell like smoke with my baby. And that's when I got like super into edibles and tinctures because there's obviously reasons, times of life where we don't want to smoke. Now I still smoke now, love it. But if you're looking for discretion, if you don't want to smell things like that, that's what makes tinctures perfect as well. Customizable. I'm not going to talk about this too much more in today's presentation, but like the fact that you can tailor your tinctures to meet your specific needs. So, for example, you can make strain specific tinctures, which really essentially means you're making like strain specific medicine. So say like I'm growing right now a Blue Dream and a Northern Lights. One is sativa, one is a hybrid. If I make tinctures out of both of them, those are going to be two different tincture products, essentially two different medicines, and I would choose them at two different times to use. So understanding this gives you a lot of flexibility to make like really specific things. Like say you wanted to make like a CBD tincture, you could get CBD flower or CBG or THCV. Like you can get really custom here. And then the last benefit of making a tincture is long-term storage. So one of the really frustrating things people get annoyed with is like, say you make butter and then in like you leave it in the back of the fridge, you forget about it, and 3 weeks later you look and it has mold on it, and you're like, oh my God, I took all the time to make this and it's just moldy now and I can't use it and it's a waste. Like nothing more frustrating. If you've been there, raise your hand. I know how annoying it is. The nice thing about tinctures and FICO is that alcohol is a preservative. It can last years and years if stored properly. So it's a great way to make sure that you're just making the most out of all of your product. Okay, those are the benefits of tinctures. So I hope I sold you on why we want to get started and start thinking about this. Obviously, I have to do the tincture definition talk. So we got into like a confusing thought about what a tincture is a couple years ago when CBD came out on the market. And like the CBD oil would come out and it would all be, everyone's like, it's a tincture, it's a tincture. And I think they were saying that because the tincture is being placed under the tongue, like for sublingual absorption. But by definition, a tincture is an alcohol-based preparation. Now, it's not specific to cannabis by any means. And if you know anything about herbalism, tincture making has been one of the premier ways of making medicine for literally hundreds of years. Doesn't matter which plant it is. So it could be cannabis, it could be lavender. I mean, there's so many different options. Tincture making is alcohol based, especially for in terms of this webinar, what we're talking about when we're talking about tinctures. I'm not talking about anything with oil. So oil, if you're putting cannabis and oil together, that's called an infusion. And today we're talking about extraction. So we're only talking about alcohol. If you're like, oh, but I really wanted to talk about oil, we can talk about infusion all day long. I'm just not going to do it today. But you can go on my website, and you know my website, emilykylenutrition.com, and in the search bar, I have a recipe for how to infuse coconut oil, MCT oil, olive oil. If that's what you're looking for here today, go ahead. You can hop off if you want. Grab that recipe. But for the rest of what we're talking about today, alcohol based only. Okay? All right. So, at our basic starting point, what I want people to know is you really don't need much to make a tincture and get started. I know a lot of people see me using the Source Turbo machine on Facebook and Instagram, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to do this process because I need to invest in a machine." You absolutely do not. That's one of the great things about tincture making is you do not have to start with anything really fancy. Tincture, like investing in the Source Turbo wasn't something I did until I had been making tinctures for a while and felt comfortable and knew that that's the path I wanted to go on. We can talk about that at another time, but I don't want you to feel like you need to buy anything specific or that you have to invest in any type of machine. This can all be done at home. You need two things. Well, technically three. First things first, you want your cannabis plant material. So a lot of people will ask me about making tinctures with like concentrates, things like that. I don't really understand why people do that. So we're not going to use anything like that today. Only flower. Now you can use really good high quality bud. That makes a great tincture. But one of the things I love about tinctures is you can use things like trim and shake. Now, what like the thought process is that the alcohol is taking all the trichomes off the plant matter. So if you have a lot of trim, which is technically low quality because it doesn't have a lot of trichomes, that's the nice part about the alcohol is it's just going to take all those trichomes, get rid of the plant matter, and that's really I personally love making tinctures with trim. Like I save like my best buds for smoking, and then all the trim goes back into tincture making. So that's the number one thing you need. You need cannabis to get started. If you don't have any, I mean, you could do like CBD flower, CBG flower. To be honest, Vanilla extract is literally just vanilla beans and alcohol. So if you can find a different herb, you can actually make a tincture at home. It doesn't have to be cannabis. Lots of options there. But then we need the second item, which is going to be high proof alcohol. So that's our solvent of choice. Couple reasons for this. Alcohol is my whole goal in teaching you here today is alcohol is a tool. It's like an oven. We're not going to eat the oven at the end. We're just using it as a tool. So we're going from raw chicken to cooked chicken with the help of an oven. We're going from tincture to FICO with the help of alcohol. The alcohol, what it does is it comes onto the plant matter, it strips all those trichomes, suspends them in the alcohol. So now our plant matter is like got nothing left, and then our alcohol is in our tincture, right? And so everything's here, and alcohol is a solvent, which means it's really effective at taking those trichomes off the plant matter. Now, if you've heard me talk about other things, trichomes are lipophilic, meaning they love fat, which means if you put cannabis in water, those trichomes are not going to come off in the water. Like they don't mix with the water. That's why you need something powerful like alcohol. So alcohol is the solvent of choice. Now, there are other solvents out there that people have used. I mean, like butane hash oil, if you've heard like BHO. We'll talk about like the difference between FICO and RSO, but really the difference is the solvent that is used. So Rick Simpson traditionally used like naphtha and things like that. The reason that I only use high proof alcohol is because it's food grade. It's safe, it's easy to use. Safe in the sense like obviously I'm not drinking cups of it. Like it's safe in relative terms. It's high proof alcohol. Of course, it's gonna have some form of danger. But like for me, if I leave like residual drops of high proof alcohol in my FICO, it's not nearly as worrisome than if I leave some drops of isopropyl alcohol in my FICO. And especially because I'm eating it and not making topicals. Safety first, right? Like why would we use something that's not safe to be consumed? So if you feel safe using another solvent, that's totally fine. But I want to lead people down my road of safety and we're using high proof alcohol. So that's the two things you need. We need flour and we need alcohol. Of course, it's going to be super helpful to have some mason jars and some droppers and a filter to filter, but that's really all you need, okay? We just need a couple things. Okay, let's see. So let's talk about the starting material that we're going to use. A couple things in tincture making is you really want to first off use dry material instead of fresh material. Fresh material contains a lot of moisture. Like the point of drying the cannabis is to remove the moisture from the plant because once moisture gets in, it can be a source of contamination, right? It can cause mold, it can cause like ways to deteriorate. And one of the reasons we want to make it tincture is because we're trying to preserve our properties long term. So I highly recommend starting out with dried material. It really will help you have a better quality end product. Then for material, I personally never recommend grinding your flour or whatever you're working with. So I do, like I said, I prefer to use trim. You can use shake. It's really, again, a great application for like the lesser quality material. But the reason I don't grind it is because the grinding breaks that plant material into such tiny pieces, it's releasing more chlorophyll. And again, that's one of the things that we don't want in the end product is chlorophyll. So instead, I just gently break apart the buds. The alcohol is going to get in there anyway. You don't have to get it like super tiny or anything. Just break it up gently. But again, dried is better than fresh. Any type of material you want to use is good, but make sure that it is dried and then not ground super fine. If you do grind super fine, like it's not going to be the end of the world. It's just not going to be the best tasting end product. So don't worry. Like if you're like, oh, I already ground my material, it's no big deal. It's fine. Let me just say the whole thing is no big deal. Like you're not going to mess it up that bad. I promise it'll be fine. Okay. Everyone good in the comments? All right. I think you guys are talking to each other, so I'll check that later. Everybody good so far? How's everybody feeling? Are we good? Where are we standing? Do we understand what we're going for because we talked about the materials. Oh, good. Like I see all my little thumbs up coming on the screen. That's perfect. Okay. I talk really fast because I get like really excited, so I want to make sure I'm not going like too extra. I'm actually gonna take a sip of my coffee, is what I'm gonna do. Okay. So we've got the materials, and now let's talk about the process. There's so many different words out there that makes it be like, what are we doing? Tincture making because we're using alcohol. So alcohol and ethanol are used interchangeably throughout the process. So if you continuously hear me say ethanol, it's just alcohol. Um, Again, only talking about food grade alcohol, no isopropyl alcohol or like the other kinds of, there's a couple different kinds of alcohol. There's like kinds you can drink and kinds you can't drink. We're doing the kinds you can drink. Ethanol extraction, aka alcohol-based tincture. Again, the alcohol is a tool. I want you to remember that alcohol is a tool, and the purpose of it is to strip the trichomes from the plant. If trichome is a new word for you, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go onto my website, emilykylenutrition.com, and in the search bar type in trichomes. That's the part of the plant where our medicine is. And so it's the only part we want for medicine making. And that's what makes this process perfect is because the alcohol is the tool, removing the medicine from the plant material that we don't want. And then, okay, so then we have our tincture, right? The tool, we've got everything suspended in the alcohol. And I always tell people, like, for me personally, like that tincture making process, I'm only 50% of the way there. I go all the way to full extract cannabis oil. So that's where I'm going to be taking you. We've got our materials. Now we're talking about our process, and then I'm going to take you to full extract cannabis oil. Julie says, how high proof does the alcohol need to be to work? It will technically always work, but the higher the proof, the more effective the removal. So I always recommend if you can get like 190 to 200 proof, that's like the gold standard because that's almost all alcohol. So when we talk about alcohol and proofs, if it's 190 proof, I think that's what 95% alcohol, and that means the rest is water. So if you have vodka and it's only 60% alcohol, that means it's 40% water. And we know that the water isn't going to be any type of effective removal, so it's kind of just a waste. Um, I should say, depending on where you live, it can be very difficult to get high proof alcohol. So some places you can just buy Everclear on the shelves. Other places, I think there's like 15 states you need to get file a permit, which is actually not that hard. If you really want to do it, it's like one piece of paper. And then there's I think 6 or 7 states where you just can't buy it at all. Couple alternatives, you can either just go across a state line and buy it, or I know there's a guy named Keith. I don't know if you're here, Keith, in my Edibles Made Easy or Edibles with Emily Facebook group. I don't know if you guys are in the Facebook group. Um, we just hit 50,000 members. Super exciting. If you're not, I'll leave the link if you guys want to join. But Keith was showing he actually makes his own alcohol. We like you ferment stuff. I thought it was super cool. So maybe that will be the next thing is I'll teach everyone how to make their own alcohol too, and we'll say forget these limits. Like the limits are so dumb. Anyway, um, getting the alcohol can be an issue, and I understand that. I do have a guide on my website. If you type in high proof alcohol, it's just a bunch of different places of like where you can look and buy things. I've also heard one of the absolute best new options. I actually heard this from my friends over at Source Turbo. It is 420 extractor. So if you go 420extractor.com, they said that they will actually like hold your hand through the like licensing process or permit process, and that they'll just help you fill it out and so you can get the alcohol sent. They said you can get an entire gallon of 200 proof for $45, which is actually super cheap. So 420 extractor um from there. Chris asks the magical question. Do you have to decarb first? That's up to you. That's up to you and your end goal. So if your end goal is that you want the activated benefits of THC in your end product, yeah, you want to decarb first. If your end goal is to make a THCA product, or So actually, when I'm going to talk about my Tinctures to Fico medicine making workshop, I have an entire lesson dedicated on this because there's like so much thought to put into it of how do you want your end product to come out? What is your goal? What are you trying to make? And because decarbing can really affect your end product and how things turn out. So that's a whole different lesson in there. Um, but you have to think about what you want and then go there. If I always tell people like don't panic because if for whatever like the number one question I get people send me out like panicked and they're like, "Oh my God, I poured the alcohol on my flower before I decarbed," and they think they ruined it. Let me, if you take anything away from this webinar, you didn't ruin it. It's totally fine. Once you make FICO, you can actually decarb the FICO like another concentrate, and then you're fine. So, your choice if you want to decarb or not. We can talk about that more in depth. But, um, sorry, I'm like getting like distracted. I was looking at the tincture comments. So anyway, your choice if you want to decarb or not. Tina says, I use my high proof alcohol from Culinary Solvent. They're really nice people too. I love Culinary Solvent. You'll see them in some of my photos. It's like a small like husband and wife business team that like they're just really nice people. So yes, Culinary Solvent is good as well. Russ says that must be a crazy class just covering the legalities of each state's ruling on heating THCA. My gosh, I know. Maybe I'll put it out there as a PSA. I don't know, whatever I'm talking about may or may not be legal where you live. Like I'm in New York State and technically I'm not even allowed to um, mix cannabis with anything flammable. I don't need Aunt Kathy telling me what I'm doing. Yorkie says, I'm confused on your explanation of decarbing or not. Not sure what's confusing. So you either, if you want THC in your final product, you're going to decarb first. If you want THCA in your final product, you're not going to decarb first. If you're not sure what you want, or if you made a mistake and didn't decarb first, you can decarb your FICO at the end. Okay. I always do this. I talk way too long. I'm not even like halfway done and it's already 12:30, so let's get going. Why alcohol? Why not vinegar or glycerin? That's what people ask me all the time. Alcohol is more effective. It's just the way it is. The vinegar and the glycerin are not powerful enough solvents to remove the trichomes as effectively as the alcohol. So while you could infuse your cannabis into vinegar or glycerin, yeah, of course you can do it, but how much of the trichome removal, how effective is it? Um, so like for glycerin, Ardent actually did their own lab tests and ran through, and I think it was only 10% recovery or outcome from that. So 10%, like we're working with alcohol and we're hoping for 95%. So you can see why the glycerin isn't worth it. Vinegar, I don't have lab tests on it, but like who wants to drink like cannabis infused vinegar either? So if you want to try it, I'm not going to stop you. Anyway, so for example, if you wanted to end up with infused vegetable glycerin, and if you're like, what is that? It's just like it's like a weird sticky like oil almost. What I would do is I would make a tincture, bring it to FICO almost like 99% evaporation, and then mix that into the glycerin. Then it's like literally so much more powerful and you have so much more control over the end product. So that's my answer for that. Again, if you want to do it, go ahead and try it out. If you're in for potency, alcohol is your winner. Powerful and it's effective. And depending on the proof, it's going to be able to help dissolve both your water-loving and your fat-loving compounds. Time and temperature for decarbing for THC, I do 40 minutes at 240 degrees Fahrenheit. Some people do slightly different. Usually at the end, it all gets there anyway. Okay. Alcohol extraction. In all things edibles, really is what I teach people is we have two goals. More trichomes, medicine, less chlorophyll, green, yucky stuff. And so that's why I love alcohol extraction because it allows us to reach our ultimate goal, which is more trichomes, more extraction, and less chlorophyll. Now, we'll talk about less chlorophyll because it depends on your process. If you're doing like a green dragon long soak tincture, you're not going to have less chlorophyll. But as you get into your process and refine it, you'll choose what one is right for you. I always love to come in and address some apprehensions associated with alcohol because these are the apprehensions I had too. I was really scared. I don't know. Is anyone else scared? Like, I don't, maybe you're not. I don't know. I was nervous. I guess maybe I read like too many dumb people on Facebook saying that they like blew up their kitchen. We're not going to do that. I promise you guys. We'll be so super safe. But I was really, really concerned. So safety was my number one concern. I would gonna blow up my house or get it in my eyes or I don't know. Like I said, I use nail polish remover all the time and I'm fine. So like we can do this, right? Then number two was taste. And I was like, but I don't want the burn under my tongue. Like, why would I want the burn under my tongue? And we're gonna talk about that in a minute. And then another huge thing I get for people all the time is sobriety concerns. So, one of the beautiful things about cannabis is it helps so many folks who are abstaining from alcohol. And that really becomes like a sticky situation for people. Like, is it right for you? And I can't tell you that. Like, everybody's so different. Everyone has a different sobriety journey. So it really is a personal question of, what feels right and aligned with your values, what feels comfortable for you. Are you able to use the alcohol as a tool and not feel like the need that you would drink it? Or like, obviously, these are all super personal questions and thoughts to have. If it doesn't feel right for you, again, I have lots of other options for you. Don't feel bad or feel like you're missing out on something. And also remember at the end of the day, if you're making full extract cannabis oil, all of that alcohol should be removed anyway. So you are essentially ending up with an alcohol-free product. But again, everyone's different, unique. I want to support you in whatever decisions you need to make for your well-being. I love cannabis as a harm reduction tool, but if it's becoming a problem where it's not producing harm or it's incurring harm, of course, let's skip it. Let's find something else. So, if you have any questions about whether it's right for you, like more personally, you want to chat about it, just send me an email and we can talk, okay? Um, you do what's right for you, you know. So now we've got our materials. We understand that we're doing ethanol extraction. Now, how do we do it? There's two main processes. I'm sure you guys have heard of this. Have you heard of green dragon versus golden dragon? Give me a little high five. Let me see your little hands in the comments below. I'm sure you have because those are like the two number one most popular things. If not, let's talk about it. Two tincture making methods. The end product is essentially the same, slightly different. Um, Green dragon because when you see it made, it's a really dark green color, right? So right here in this picture, I have three different tinctures. These are called different soak times. So soak times mean how long is that alcohol in contact with the plant material. So obviously on the left, it's a little bit darker, and that's getting toward more towards like a green dragon. In the middle, we have like our golden dragon, super quick wash at the right, really like golden dragon. Green dragon is a long soak tincture, meaning the alcohol touches the plant matter for a long time, like hour or more. Golden dragon, often called quick wash extraction technique or ice dragon, um, that is going to be a quick wash where the alcohol comes in contact with the plant matter for a very short amount of time. And the goal, the thought process is that the less time that the alcohol is in contact with the plant matter, the less chlorophyll will be released into the end product. And we know that the less chlorophyll, the more tasty it is, right? So we want a better tasting end product. Okay, let's see. Let's compare our methods. When I first started out with tincture making, I felt more comfortable doing golden dragon, or I mean green dragon. I don't know why, I just felt like it was like the safe way to go. So that's what I started out with. So if that's what feels safe and right for you, I mean, you can't mess it up. It's so super simple. Um, Basically, you're going to take a mason jar full of cannabis, you're going to pour your alcohol on it, you're going to put the top on, and you're going to set it on a shelf and you're going to leave it for how long it is. So, of course, Green Dragon feels much more approachable. And if that's what you want to use first, definitely use that. Then we're going to go and talk about our quick wash. It feels a little bit more advanced because there's like more steps because I'm going to tell you, you got to freeze the alcohol and you got to freeze the cannabis and you got to do it for 24 hours before you get started and then you can do a wash and you can do multiple washes. Couple more steps involved, but I will say the end product at the end is better tasting. So you do what feels comfortable. To be honest, I'd rather that you experimented with both and got to experience like what was better for you. I'm not going to tell you when is right or when is wrong. Again, so much of cannabis is like personal preference. I want you to do what you enjoy. I guess we already talked about this, was should you decarb before getting started? Because that is what you want to consider before you're making green dragon or golden dragon. Because if you're making golden dragon, you want to freeze your plant material, which means you're going to decarb before you freeze your plant material. So that's a consideration that you want to take as well. So really up to you what you want to do. No right answer. Decarb before if you want the activated benefits of THC in your end product. Don't decarb before if you want to have THCA. Or another consideration, depending on your evaporation process, is if your evaporation process introduces heat or a lot of heat during the end process, it may decarboxylate for you. And so you have to think about your evaporation process as well, because if you've already decarbed and then you're applying extra heat for like hours, you might turn that THC into CBN as well. But that's like a more advanced conversation for a different day. Is green dragon stronger than golden dragon? Excellent question. I ended up running 6 different lab tests to see. You can go on my website. If you type in like in the search bar, like green versus golden, it will come up. I have them all like printed out and like I put them in like a nice little spreadsheet for you guys so you could see. Slight differences, but the potency was pretty spot on for like obviously there's a little bit of difference. But I in my mind thought like the green dragon would be significantly more potent than the golden dragon, and it was not significant. Not enough for me to say, oh, I think I'd really rather stick with the yuckier tasting one. So yeah, you can go on my website and see the results for that. It depends on the soak time. So for green dragon, people can soak for an hour, a day, a week, a month. I did lab tests and we found that the potency increased as the soak time, a little bit, not like huge, but the potency did increase as the soak time increased, but it stopped at 30 days. After 30 days, the potency actually dropped off. So there probably is no benefit in soaking longer than 30 days. If you want 100% maximum potency, that was 30-day soak was the highest. But compared to the Golden Dragon, I was pleasantly surprised, not that much different. So totally your choice. And again, you should look at those. There, it's actually really cool to see the labs. So what do you mean by multiple washes? Let me do that. Washes mean so you have your jar of cannabis and you pour your alcohol on and you swish it and you let it sit for 5 minutes. That's your first wash. So if you strained it off, then you would have that raffinate or your leftover plant material. Then you're going to pour a new set of alcohol. That would be your second wash. So some people only do one wash, some people do two, 3 washes. That's again, as you get into your more personal preferences, you will learn what you like. So now let's talk about the next step, which is okay, so we've got the materials, we've got the process down, and you're going to decide whether you want green or golden dragon. For me, where I always tell people is that the tinctures are really just the beginning, and for me, tinctures are only the 50% halfway mark. And I feel like this is where a lot of people make their mistakes is they stop here and they have this really alcohol heavy end product that is so unbearable to use that we are just like not even wanting to use it, not happy with our end product. Um, I don't really recommend you just keep your tincture the way it is unless you really, really like it, prefer it that way, or are making something like a cocktail or a mocktail where you need the alcohol to make it mix in well. Otherwise, I personally always recommend to people that you're evaporating off at least 90% of the alcohol. I cannot tell you how many people make a tincture, put it under their tongue, and they say it burns. I know it burns. There's so much alcohol left in it, and that alcohol is a tool. And you left your tool in there, so of course your tool is gonna hurt you. You gotta take that tool out. Okay, so tinctures really are the 50% mark. Then we're going to take it to FICO, and that's where we're going to go next. But if you are someone here who's constantly like, I don't like the burn, like, what is this? We got to take the alcohol off. So let's talk about this next. The alcohol can and should be removed. How many people have felt the burn before, right? Like, how many people, give me a little hand if you have felt the burn and you're like, what? Like, I thought that this was going to be medicine. Like, this is terrible. Well, back in the day, that really was how they made you take medicine. But now we know better and we know that we don't have to accept the burn. We don't have to, you guys. I know so many people who just think that like they have to live with that. And I'm like, no, let's do it a better way. Beyond just the burn, like we also have to consider like the point of like intoxication, right? So again, it goes back to where does alcohol play a role in your life? How much are you consuming? Like, because it's such high proof alcohol that only like half as much will make you feel like intoxicated. So, if you're drinking like a tincture and you need to have like 4 or 5 dropperfuls to get the amount of cannabis that you're looking for, but you're taking 4 or 5 dropperfuls full of high proof alcohol, burning and potentially getting intoxicated, like, that's not fun. That's a no go, unless that's what you want. But if that's not your intended experience, you don't have to live like this. Like that's my whole goal is saying like let's do this a better way. The other thought now here is potency. So we need to think about volume, and I've got some pictures to help you, but the more alcohol you remove from your tincture, the more potent your end product becomes in a smaller volume. So let's talk about that because if you have never evaporated your alcohol or if you've always just stopped at the tincture step, this is where I want you to pay attention and take the next step. The next step is full extract cannabis oil. Some people call it Rick Simpson oil. We call it FICO because we're not making it with naphtha or his solvents. We're making it with high proof alcohol. Terminology, full extract cannabis oil. Highly concentrated cannabis oil. So think plants, plant material, trichomes, right? Think about all those trichomes. You're essentially taking all those trichomes and you're kind of condensing them into the full extract cannabis oil. Now, it's created by evaporating 95% or more of the alcohol from a tincture. People want to say 100%. If you want it to be 100%, be 100%. I can't stand it in that like sticky tar consistency, so I usually leave in like a tiny bit of alcohol. People want to like complain about the terminology. I guess it's still technically a tincture, but here nor there. Let's not split hairs. Now, typically this is used for medicinal purposes, but they only say that because it's so potent and strong. So you maybe see it at a dispensary or you see it online. You see it in those little syringes. They're usually like 1 milliliter, 1 gram syringes, and they can often contain upwards of like 900 milligrams of THC. So super potent. Again, a lot of times used in medicinal purposes. You've heard of so many people talking about like using it for cancer, things like that. Really great for pain. Um, the uses are unlimited though. Like I love to teach people how to put FICO in edibles. Like FICO is just my favorite. You can do anything. And not only can you do edibles, it's incredible for topicals, making really, really powerful topicals for pain relief too. So I love FICO. If you can't tell, I'm going to continue to sell you on it. Let's compare tinctures versus FICO. Tincture, we've got all of the alcohol still in there. So this is a cannabis extract and it's made with high proof alcohol. The high proof alcohol still exists. It's going to retain nearly all of the alcohol that it's made with, right? So it can burn the mouth, right? And now technically your potency is diluted by volume. So, depends on what you want to use your tincture for. If you're using it for drinks, things like that, dropping it in your coffee, this might work perfect for you. If it's not working for you, then we're going to go over into our full extract cannabis oil, which is the high proof alcohol that has been where all the high proof alcohol has been removed. So nearly alcohol free, depending on how much you reduce. Again, it's really going to come down to personal preference, but by the time you get there, powerful and concentrated. So you're only left with like depending on what you start with, like 5 milliliters. Such a small amount. That small amount can have upwards of like 2, 3, 4,000 milligrams of THC, but it's in that tiny amount. So it makes it a lot easier to put into edibles, topicals, things like that. And you're not being drowned out or diluted by the alcohol. mentioned it really quickly, but just in case you guys were wondering, full extract cannabis oil versus Rick Simpson oil, the end product's really the same. It's terminology. Like, I don't want to use his words and take his stuff. Like, this is just full extract cannabis oil. It's how it's been made for forever and ever, before he made it his way. Again, ours is made with food grade alcohol, and then we evaporate off the alcohol. They're both still like black, thick, sticky. They both still retain the full spectrum of cannabis compounds. Sometimes he uses naphtha or whatever in his process. I don't think though, in like when you see it sold in dispensaries, that it's made that way, or it's like obviously been purged and really taken well care of. But essentially they're interchangeable. So FICO, RSO, like you don't have to fight with anyone on the internet about it. Like we all know what we're talking about. So this is the visualization I wanted to give you for understanding like our volume and how things get concentrated. So here's our tincture on the left-hand side, and we say, okay, whatever flower we put in, we have 200 milligrams of THC, and that's in 240 milliliters of alcohol. So you see it in the beaker there, right? It's like your cup of alcohol. Like, who's gonna drink that? Do you want to get drunk? I don't. I don't want to drink that. Like, and I actually kind of want to keep that alcohol, and I want that to be used as a tool to make my next batch of Fico, right? So I'm going to evaporate off the alcohol. Now, of course, there's a million different ways to do it, but that's a whole another conversation we can have. However, once you evaporate off all that alcohol, let's go over to the right here and we say, holy cats, we removed 230 milliliters of our alcohol and we only have 3 grams of FICO left, but hey, I still have that 200 milligrams of THC in there. So what I want you to take from this is that the potency stays the same, the volume decreases. So many people are like, well, I don't want to make FICO because the return on investment, like why would I start with an ounce of flour only to end up with 5 milliliters of FICO? Well, you're just getting rid of the things you don't want. You're getting rid of the plant matter and you're concentrating it into everything that you do want. So I hope that this makes sense because a lot of people worry about that return on investment. And I want to reassure you, you're actually just keeping the things that you really, really want and getting rid of the things that you don't want. So I hope I sold you a little bit on full extract cannabis oil. It is the most powerful plant medicine you can make at home. Not only are we extracting the cannabinoids, but we're taking out the terpenes and all of the other things that contribute to the entourage effect as well that contribute. So that's why they say it really is such a powerful plant medicine. Um, so many ways to get to FICO. We didn't really talk about evaporation or anything like that. I'm already going over my time. We could talk a million times more. But I hope you have a really good understanding of the process of we take our materials, we go to tincture, but then tincture is then put into FICO. Of course, you can keep your tincture and you can use it alcohol laden however you wish. But my goal for you is if you want it to be workable and easy to use, you're going to bring it to FICO, and then I'm going to teach you how to put it into your edibles and topicals, or mix it with like an MCT oil to use it under your tongue, things like that. But essentially, here with FICO, we're making the most out of our plant medicine, full extract extractions, getting the most potency and the least amount of taste, right? So tinctures are still frustrating. Like, even knowing all of these things, it just felt like so frustrating to start the very first process. So, if you were still feeling, if I didn't answer a question, if you're still feeling frustrated, if you're feeling hung up or stuck or on something, please go ahead and put it in the comments below so I can come and um, help you. I tried to get all the basics but I want to make sure if you guys are still feeling tripped up on something or frustrated about something that I can help you with because I know that there's a ton of information out there. Not only did I just spew a ton of information at you, but like there's just so much information on the internet, so much conflicting information out there. And I will say one of the pieces of frustration that comes in with this is kind of the need for trial and error. I feel like in like our Western medical society, we get so used to like the doctor being like, here's 2 milligrams and you take this every day and we'll, check back up on you in 6 weeks. Cannabis is so different. We really need a lot of trial and error to find like where's our starting dose and where's our end dose. So it really, really is, I need you to feel comfortable with trial and error. A lot of people don't like that, but I want you to feel comfortable with it. Okay. So here's what's not working. Here's what's probably like frustrated you the most. And that's what was irritating for me when I first out is weaker ineffective tincture. So hopefully now we've actually diagnosed this problem and that your weaker ineffective tincture probably just has too much alcohol in it. The alcohol is diluting your potency, so you need to remove the alcohol, right? Number two can be the confusion about materials. So if you're not understanding, hopefully we cleared this up about why we use alcohol versus things like glycerin or vinegar. That's like why you can make a better end product is because alcohol is more effective. I really hope I helped alleviate your fear of alcohol. Again, like I told you, I was like super worried and nervous about it, and it just, I guess you just got to do it once and like put your big girl panties on and be like, I'm an adult. Am I the only one who's scared? I don't know. Like, I'm an adult. I can do this. You've probably done actually scarier things before. The inconsistent results can get frustrating, and I definitely understand that. Part of the what I like to teach when people are kind of learning how to make this is teaching how to use like the same strain and the same method and the same process so that we can try and replicate our results. And that makes it a little bit easy for trial and error as we move through. And then hopefully you're no longer feeling overwhelmed with information. Hopefully I gave you some really clear answers on why we do certain things or the science behind certain things. So that makes it easier for you. Hearing like a really weird noise outside. I think it's raining. Anyway, um, if anything, my goal is that you leave this today saying, tinctures maybe are right for me. Like maybe I was scared about a couple things before, or maybe I wasn't sure of what I was doing, but now I feel like I have a more clear path. Um, But I really am here to sell you on tinctures, right? It's a healthier consumption method. So if you're like me, if you have a new baby, you don't want to, I don't have a new baby. When I had a new baby, I didn't want to smell like smoke. Like tinctures are so discreet. They're easy to take care of. Like, and you don't smell like smoke. So if you are, I have so many older folks coming to me saying, I love, love, love smoking, and I get it. But for whatever reason, a health condition, smoking is not safe anymore or able to do anymore. This is a great option, especially, the feeling of smoking is different than the feeling of edibles, but if you can get your potency just right, you can kind of mimic and replicate that. So hopefully tinctures are a great alternative if you do find yourself needing to transition out of smoking. I love the discreetness of it. I actually like was doing some in the like a couple of drops in the car the other day. I wasn't driving, but no one knows what I'm putting in my mouth, right? Who cares? None of their business. Another thing I absolutely love is that it's personalized for diets and special preferences. So obviously, as a registered dietitian, I work so much with people who are on specialty diets, who have special needs. And in a lot of cases, when people are dealing with things like inflammation, they're also changing their diet. And that's a great thing about tinctures and Ficos. You can really, really make it tailored to your specific dietary needs. And that's one of the things I specialize in. If you are following like a really special diet and want to incorporate cannabis into your lifestyle, let me know. I can certainly help with that. And then we didn't really get into this, but if you do take my other class, the paid class, we'll talk about making like personalized cannabinoid blends made especially for you and your endocannabinoid system. So in September, I'll be doing an endocannabinoid system webinar. So if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, we can talk about that in a little while as well. But yeah, so we can make personalized blends, and I hope that this makes tinctures feel like, okay, yes, this is a viable option for me to try at least. So if you are here and you have all the information that you need and you're feeling super, super confident, I'm wrapping up the informational part of this webinar. If you are someone who says, but wait, like I want more, I want to take the next step, I want your videos, I want everything, I want you to hold my hand as I make this, let's talk about the next step, which is going to be my Tinctures to Fico medicine making workshop. So this is especially for my visual learners. This is 100% video courses teaching you literally step by step how to make the tincture, how to do the golden dragon process, and then how to do FICO. And so the best part about this course is it's broken down very sequentially. So if you like the way I teach, it's basically like this class on steroids. So like this is an hour, that class is 3 hours. So like I'm gonna go in, like the first one, we're gonna talk about alcohol, like so in depth. For like 30 minutes, I'm gonna tell you exactly what type of alcohol to buy and where to get it and what you need. And then our next lesson is going to be all about like the process of extraction. So I'm going to take you through like why do we freeze the material and like really like the science behind it of why you want to do those things. And then I'm going to walk you through step by step how to make your golden dragon tincture. Then the next lesson, which we didn't even get the chance to talk about here, is going to be all about evaporation. So um, that's like the most important step from going from tincture to FICO. The whole lesson is showing you basically how you can do it at home without having to invest in any type of expensive machine. So we're talking about like really simple options here that are safe. There's a ton of safety information in here. So if you're feeling a little bit nervous about that, we have safety information as well. And then I will talk, if you are interested, I do have a lesson in there about how to use the Source Turbo machine to reclaim the alcohol and repeat the process. And like I said, really detailed videos of like the FICO process. So like, what does it look like as you get towards the end, or like what should you be expecting? So I'm gonna put the link here for the course. I want this one to be super affordable, you guys. So like weird economy. I just want this. I don't want price to hold you back. So this is going to be 3.5 hours of video lessons. I'm giving it to you guys super special today, only you guys for the webinar for $45. So it's a 6-part class, only $45. And $50 off for you because you're here with me live. I'm gonna jack that price right back up to where it belongs at $95 because I put like so much time and effort into this class, you guys. I don't know if you know like the amount of time and effort I put into like preparing these presentations in a way that like makes sense. It is doable and like I love being a teacher. Like I really consider myself like an instructor. I think I'm like preparing my college courses. And so that's essentially what I'm inviting you in for is to take my cannabis college course, right? And so the whole point of like how I put everything together is to like take away your frustrations so that you're like, yes, I just followed this step and then this step and then this step and then this step. Um, I'll get to the questions in a minute. I really want this to be helpful for you guys. Like everything I do is so that you can have an incredible end result. Like that's my goal. Like I know like people are out here like I hope that you find my information like super super helpful. Like these courses like this I feel like is like my beginner, but the next course, like if you invest in this Tinctures to Finco workshop, is like so in depth and in detail. Like I'm sharing with you all of my like inner knowledge and wisdom and research. So it's like really just taking the next step. It's like today was our first date, and if you liked it and you want to take it to the second date, I put the link in the comments so that you can join. Or you can go to shop.emilykylenutrition.com and the course is there as well. Um, but so, okay, say you're like, okay, so should I invest in this? Is this going to be right for me? If you take the course, if you go through the 3 hours of lessons, which you could binge if you want, or you can like break them up, it's totally your choice. How much time are you going to save from like your Google rabbit hole? Like how many Facebook groups have you been in like mulling over the idea like yeah, I might want to try and but you think about it and you read some more and you think about it and you just waste all this time because you never actually take action. My goal would be that you take action and that the 3 hours invested then saves you time in the long run because there's nothing stopping you now from going into the kitchen, right? And then I always say, like, what can you do with that time back? And obviously, my number one thing that I want you to do with your time back is make more medicine, right? Or make more full extract cannabis oil or feel really comfortable with what you're making. Then make your edibles and your tinctures. And honestly, what I do when I get extra time back, I spend it with my kids. I spend it with my family, right? Like, if you're not constantly on this rabbit hole of like, how do I make medicine? You have time to do a lot of the other things that you really love. How much money could you save? So like I said, I wanted this to be like a super affordable price point, $45. I think that for 3 hours of learning, it's really worth it for how much like love and energy I put into it. But my goal is if you've invested the $45, you would have so much knowledge of what you're doing that you would not have to waste any more money either on like messing up products or wasting alcohol or getting the wrong type or anything like that. So really, that's my goal is that once you invest, it gives you everything you need to be able to make wise financial choices down the line because you know what you're doing. This one's like extra special to me. I'll talk about this in a minute, but like who could you help with your new knowledge? Because if you're making medicine for a loved one, someone in pain, maybe someone with cancer, sometimes our time can be limited and we don't might not have the time to research how to make Figo. Like time might be moving too fast. And so if you're making medicine for someone that you love, um, if you knew how to make this types of medicine, who could you help? How could you help them? And I think that's really important because so many of us, we're not just using cannabis for ourselves, we're using it to improve the lives of our loved ones. That's what that noise is. My neighbor has his tractor out. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Sorry. Um, but yeah, I mean, you want to be able to take care of your friends and your family. You want to be the medicine maker of your town, your community, your home, right? So that's kind of how I feel now that I know how to make tinctures and how I want them is that like I could make it for other people too. And I have, honestly. Unfortunately, I have made FICO for folks passing away from cancer more times than I'd like to admit. So, yeah, it like tugs on my heartstrings right there because it really helps people in those end of life situations, in cancer situations, pain situations. Like, this is the medicine I reach for in those situations. So, what does it mean to you if you're feeling confident and if you're feeling like you're ready to become the medicine maker? Like that's what I want for you is I want you to take this class and at the end feel like a medicine woman, like our ancestors, right? Like this is what my grandmothers did. I'm sure my great grandmothers, and when you can make that kind of medicine, what can you do with it? And for a lot of us, to be honest, we go out and make businesses out of it. So I don't know if you ever have a goal of taking your cannabis process beyond, but so many people, once they know how to do this, help others and then turn it into a business, right? And then from there, you're improving the lives of so many people on and on. And eventually, hopefully, and that's kind of how I feel, is that you are making the world a better place. Like just by giving you all this information for free here today, it's really my contribution to the world, right? Of like, I'm giving you all this information for free because I want this to be available for everybody. And I think that it should be like, I'm just trying to do my best to make it accessible to everyone and to make sure that other people can benefit from this knowledge. And at the end of the day, like, not to be selfish, but like it improves the quality of my own life. And when I improve the quality of my life, I improve the quality of my family's life, and I improve the quality of those impacted by my business. So that's why full extract cannabis oil has just made such a difference in my life. And like, again, this is coming from someone who used to be afraid of. So definitely feeling better. Talked about this a little bit. I'll get around to it later. Don't know when illness will come calling. And I don't know if you've heard like this story from me before, but like my father-in-law, he passed away from cancer like really suddenly 2 years ago, like within 2 weeks. And full extract cannabis oil was like the only thing that brought like relief during that like end period. And I just was so thankful. I didn't think about it at the time, but when I look back on it, like I was like, thank God that like I knew how to make this medicine and I already had it available and ready to go. I didn't have to take the time to learn how to do it. Like when an emergency struck, I was prepared. And that's just how I want you to feel too, is that you feel like you could, if you're in a situation where you need to function like that, like I want you to feel really confident in being able to do that. So that's where I'm coming from with that. About the course, it's not 4 hours, it's 3 hours. It's 6 lessons. They're all video lessons, but the first 4 or 5 come with printable notes and slides so you can follow along. Closed captioning is available for every video, so any auditory issues, like you can just read. Full transcripts available for everyone as well. So literally, if you wanted to print out the 20-page transcript and read it, you absolutely can. I'm trying to make the interface as user-friendly as possible. So it's like a really beautiful like online course. You watch the video, it's got like all the supporting materials there. Really, everything is a step-by-step video tutorial talking about a whole lesson on whether or not you should decarboxylate or not, the process of making your tinctures, and then a lot on evaporation and the FICO process as well. The nice part is that once you're in the course, you're in it forever. I'm not going to kick you out. You have unlimited access to the content. So if you want to come back a year later, like I'm sure I'll do this class again next year, you're already going to be in, so you don't have to purchase again. You're in, you're in. And the nice thing is, I usually come back every year or so and update the course material. You always get access. This course now is like completely self-paced. Everything is already here. So if you sign up today, you're going to sign in. All 6 lessons are available to you and you can take them at any time. There's no time requirement. We're all like super busy. I'm not going to be here being like, you need to be here at 2 o'clock for lesson number one. No, I just want this to be as easy and comfortable for you as possible. I was thinking if you want me to send email reminders like once a week and say like lesson one, I certainly can do that. But like we're about self-paced here. We all have busy, busy lives. If you want to watch this at 2 a.m. in your car, you can. Like it's on your phone, it's on your computer, super easy. And again, you'll always have access to it, doesn't go away. So if you make Fico and then 6 months go by and you're like, shit, I don't even remember what that is, you go back, you watch it again. It's like right there for you. It does come with a super bonus too. I don't know if you are a member of my Well with Cannabis community, but that's like my super behind the scenes private community. I have 4,000 people in there where you can ask any question. Like it's not on social media, so like there's no bots or trolls or anything like that. But this community here is like, so say you were making Fico and you're like, oh my God, I have a question. You like go to the community and type in the question and you get an answer. There's people there to help you all the time. So that's my bonus to you. It's usually $25, but including that completely for free because support is kind of like the core of what I do. Like, I don't want you to come in this class and then be like, well, I have a question, but I don't know where to ask it. Like, I've got a place where you can ask it. I'm here to help. So I have had some great feedback from my beta testers. I have had a student who said, thank you so much for this workshop. It's exactly what I was looking for. I've been making your oil-based gummies for years, and this is where a lot of people come from. It's like the oil world, and that they're ready to transition into like Fico and stuff. So she said, I decided to try your Fico recipe. You really helped me with my knowledge of cannabis, and you explain things thoroughly. Again, it's really like I am here today talking to you. But you save me a lot of time not having to experiment myself. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So really just letting you guys know, like I test these courses out on people. I want to make sure that they get results. That's my goal, is that you get the free, or is that you get the best end result possible. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking about this so I can get to questions. Your investment enrollment is open now. It's normally going to be $95. After next week, I'm going to put it to $95, but I'm giving you guys $50 off because anyone who comes to these classes, like you're my MVPs, my special people, I want you to be rewarded. $50 off, no need for a code. It's already up there. I put the link in. Again, that discount is going to go back up to 95. So please enjoy it. Share with a friend while you can for the next week and a half. At the end of the day, oh my God, I'm still so over my time, but we're getting there. At the end of the day, my goal is really just to make tinctures and edible making fun again. And fun comes from confidence, and confidence comes from knowing what you're doing in the kitchen. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like I saw someone in here, like you can YouTube it, go right ahead. Actually, I don't know why you're here then. Just go. But you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You need someone to guide you. And that's what I'm here for. Like, I want to be your guide, your coach, your college professor, cheerleader. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm actually the 10-year-old cheerleading coach this year. So, like, cheerleading vibes. I just want to hold your hand as you make tinctures and Fico and medicine. Make yourself feel better, make your families feel better, and make your world a better place. Like I said, let me hold your hand. Let me help you connect the dots because that's really my goal. Before I get to questions, if you want to hop off, I know I've taken your time. Ways to stay connected. So every resource that I talked about here today, my website, emilykylenutrition.com. If you already received my weekly newsletter, you're like in my MVP list, that's where you find all of the information about like classes like this and upcoming promotions and kind of just behind the scenes of what I'm doing. And it's like just my way to stay connected with you. I had mentioned the Facebook group that is, I'll put the link in a minute. I don't want to type it right now, but if you go to, I don't even think you can search it because it's a cannabis one, facebook.com/groups/well with. My private community, my Well with Cannabis community, if you enter into a course, you will obviously then be in there with me. I do have a shop in case you need to get anything, things like CBD flower. I have THC gummies, things like that. You can go to my shop. And then, like I mentioned at the beginning here, if I haven't gotten to one of your questions specifically, you can absolutely email me. My email is support@emilykylenutrition.com. So if you had a question I haven't gotten to yet, well, I haven't gotten any of them yet, but I don't get to, please feel free to email me. I'll be happy to get back to you. Okay, question time. So I better get, these are like a lot of comments here. Um, First, anyone who's still here with me, 89 of you, thank you so much. I know that I always go over my time, but I hope that you see my excitement and how much I love doing these presentations. I love having you here. Like the energy, like when I see like people coming in and that there's so many people here, like I just really, it makes me excited. And so much of my work I do online is like by myself, right? So like to feel like I have people in a community and that there are so many people out there just like us, cannabis consumers who want to do it in a way that's like healthy and mindful and I don't know. I don't know. So sometimes I tell people like my secret phrase, or if I ever got brave enough to use it, is like, I want to bring the class back to cannabis, right? Doing cannabis in a really beautiful, mindful, healthy way that helps us just really, again, improve the quality of our lives. So I talked enough, didn't I? Thank you guys for being here. Let's keep it like fun now. Um, I'm gonna go backwards on the chat. Oh, the first one I read is like music to my ears. Loving the princess fairy godmother vibes. Thank you so much. I really do want to bring like a different vibe to the cannabis space. Like I know everyone brings their own unique energy, right? And there's just so much of the cannabis space that's like super male dominated or um I don't know how to say it in a nice way, just not like the caliber that I think that cannabis should be presented as. Like I want cannabis to be like what you think of is when you think of lavender and it's like such a great thought and like everyone thinks like nice thoughts when they think of lavender. I want people to think about cannabis like that. And so really just trying to bring like a wholesome, clean vibe to it. So it's really nice of you to say, Allison. Thank you so much. Um, going, you guys are so nice. Your comments are all so sweet. I want to thank you all for coming here. Again, I really love doing these and talking. All right, let's see. Someone says rock that cheerleading gig. Um, Gosh, how did I even end up there? Well, they weren't going to have a cheerleading coach at all. My best friend's daughter is on the team, so me and my best friend are going to do it together because my son plays on the football team, and like the thought of them not even having a cheerleading team is like too sad. So here I am, cheerleading coach. To start, how much flour and alcohol in a mason jar? We can talk, like I do talk about this a lot in the other course, but for flour, it does like the it's like a little high level, but the amounts don't matter. For your cannabis, what I recommend is that you weigh the amount you use in grams. So if I'm using cannabis flower and say I'm using a strain Amnesia and I know that it's a 20% THC flower, I'm going to measure in grams how much I use. So say I use 7 grams of flower. I can use that number to then put it in my edible dosage calculator and get the final dosage. How much alcohol you use doesn't matter. Again, this is the tool, and if you're removing it, it's not going to matter. That number of THC is always going to stay the same. So when you're putting in the flour, I only ever do enough flour to cover the plant material in the mason jar. Anything more than that is just a waste. Like more alcohol is never going to benefit you. You just need enough to cover the plant material. So I hope that that answered that. The transition from oil to Figo has made a huge difference in my products, or a huge difference in my products. That's exactly what I want you guys to take away from this is like, I thought I was doing great with oil and butter, but then when I moved to Figo, I was like, oh my gosh, like this really is like game changer. So I'm glad that Karen said that as well. Melody, I see. How do we ask questions of you? If you're still here, Melody, you can put it in the chat. Otherwise, just email me. Aw. Bridget, she says I vouch for end of care life help. So helpful. I want to make it for others and help myself. Like if I hope no one else has been in that situation, but like it really is like a godsend at the end of life, just for pain relief and things like that. Hmm. Sheila said, your site won't accept any of my credit cards. They're all good. What's up? I might have to double check, but sometimes if I get like a lot of orders like all at once, like if everyone's purchasing right now, my system might flag it. So Sheila, I have your information. I'll reach back out to you and double check. Do you talk about making a business out of it in the class? Do not talk about making the business in that class, but I have been considering doing a business class. So actually, if that's something that you are interested in, anybody else, let me know because I can always put something like that together. Dave says everyone should have a home apothecary. Yes, that's exactly it. I should have used that word. Okay. Stacy Morris, does lecithin help a tincture, especially if you plan to add to lemonade? I don't want to waste all of my medicine for it to be stuck to the sides of the glass. In that case, I wouldn't actually use lecithin. I'd actually leave more alcohol in my tincture. So I'd probably take my tincture down to like 75, 80%, make sure there's still like a decent amount of alcohol in there. That will help it suspend better in the lemonade. But that is one of like the hardest things to get right is like cold beverages. I do find that tincture with a little bit of alcohol tends to be best. I don't know if I'd add lecithin or not. If you try it, let me know. I don't know what do we do. Uh, Shannon Thompson, you're so sweet. She says your courses are all amazing. Thank you so much. Um, we get the replay. Yes, everything is replay. Okay, let me double check. I'm gonna come back here, make sure there's no recent. Rory says, how do we turn tincture into Figo? Just wait for it to evaporate. Yep, that's it. So you can evaporate just at room temperature. Eventually, all the alcohol will evaporate off. Depends on your volume and your temperature of your room of how long that will take. But yeah, you can just leave like an open mason jar and eventually it would all evaporate off. There's different methods. So like you can introduce heat to speed it up. You could use a source turbo machine. That's a lot of what I cover in the paid class. But it really is as simple as just leaving your mason jar uncovered and it will evaporate naturally and that will turn it right into full extract cannabis oil. Business class, New York State is such a challenge. Barb, oh my God, New York State. Like, if I did a business class, I'd have to do a whole session on how New York State has ruined my life. Just kidding, it hasn't ruined my life, but they're the worst for sure. Okay, everyone with business class. Interesting. The thing that's hard for me about a business class is like I can't teach about like legalities. Like Kim says, like, I'd love to sell my salves legal. Like, I'm not a lawyer, and every state is different, and every county in every state is different. So I guess if I did a business class, it'd have to be like business minus legal. But I mean, I have been running a cannabis business for like 10 years, so we can five. Um, but yeah, I'm interested that you guys are interested. I get trim for free from a friend, and it's great, except that I don't have all the information. I would love to have it. Oh, Shannon, you're so lucky to get all that trim for free. Anne says, what is the machine name again? I use a Source Turbo machine from Extract Craft. If you go onto my website and type in Source Turbo, you'll find all the information. The reason I love the Source Turbo so much is because it like captures all of the evaporating alcohol and like reclaims it. So they boast a 95% reclaim rate. So if you're making tinctures a lot, and if you're evaporating the alcohol off into thin air, you're really just evaporating your money out into thin air. And so the machine recovers the alcohol for you, or other people will use like a distiller where it saves the alcohol. So then you're left with the FICO and the alcohol, and then the alcohol can then be used again for future tincture making. So, like I said, that was like an investment that I made well into my career. Like if you're just starting out with tinctures, it's not something you need to make. But if you're someone who's like, tinctures are my thing, I'm gonna be making tinctures, or even on a business scale, investing in a Source Turbo machine is so worth it. You'll save money. I think they said within 3 months you'll recoup all the money invested. I have some frozen decarb flour in the freezer since last fall. I'm going to try to make it into a tincture. That's the perfect thing to do, Kathy. That's exactly what you should do. You guys are so nice with your comments too. Like, I just love reading through them. You guys are really all so nice. That's why I love doing these, is because like just being able to talk to people and like I said, so much of work is like online and just doesn't feel very personal. Actually, now that I even say that, I realize like I can see myself talking to you, but you guys can't see me. And like part of like my favorite, like I don't know, I'm like super animated when I'm talking and doing stuff. Um, and you guys can't even see my face. So here I am back again. Um, Kim is telling, how do you load the Figo and make a huge mess? This was one of the mistakes that I had made in the beginning as well, is that I was taking my Figo just too far down. Like it was getting to like that hard tar consistency, and I never bring it that far now. Yes, Figo is so super sticky, of course. Like, so I will say first, the only thing that I use in terms of like spatulas and things like that is silicone, like silicone everything, silicone spatulas, silicone containers. And now what I do is like I bring my Figo down to like 95, 96, 97%, where it's just liquidy enough to like move around. Then I'll pour it into a silicone container. I actually have one right here. I pour it into a silicone container like this, and then I'll leave it open to air purge, and that will allow the like remaining 2% to come off. See, like this is like 100% gone. This is sticky tar now. And then once it's ready, then you can store it and do whatever you want with it. If it's still too hard to work with, gently warming it can help. Adding in a couple drops of alcohol can help. And if it's already warm, then you can add in like a couple drops of MCT oil and mix that back in together. But it is super messy, and the more silicone you can use to keep everything clean, the better off you are. All right. You guys are also nice. Thank you for your comments. Let's see. No microwave, Dale. Don't put your Fico in the microwave. Don't put any cannabis in the microwave ever, because microwaves can like zap super hot, and like I think that temperature can be like 500, which could zap your THC. So gently warming, if you have like a double boiler, something that can bring gentle heat, that's really what you're looking for. You don't want anything that's going to be like really, really rough. Let's see. What about freezing it? Freezing Fico or freezing something else? Like you could totally freeze Fico and it'll last like forever. Let's see. Tony says explain gold dragon and green dragon. So green dragon's your long soak, alcohol and plant matter touch for a long time. So it turns out super green because they're like consistently sitting together, and that green is being pulled out into your alcohol. And then the golden dragon is lighter in color because the alcohol is in contact with that plant matter for less time. Less chlorophyll is released. So it tastes better in the long run. So that's really the difference between the two processes, how long you're actually soaking. All right, friends. I think we're getting to the end of the questions. I think I'm at the end of everything. Um, the fact that I have 70 of you still like right here with me, you guys, it just warms my heart so much. I love it. Let's talk. Oh, let me tell you. Do you want to know what we're doing next month for our free class? Um, I don't know if you guys are into mushrooms, but it's gonna be our first introduction, and we're going to do a mushroom tincture making class. And my friend Lennon from Extract Craft is actually going to come with me. I'm getting so into mushrooms, both functional and psilocybin. Thanks to Extract Craft, they're super fun. They're teaching me a lot. But basically, they're using that machine to make lion's mane tinctures. And so I want to do a lion's mane tincture making class next month. So I'll get all the details together and I'll let you know. Just seeing so many of you excited about this makes me excited about this. I've been like a little hesitant to talk about mushrooms because I've only ever talked about cannabis, and I wasn't sure if people would still be interested, but just seeing this response makes me super excited. So we'll do that next month. I'll talk to Extract Craft. We'll get everything all set up. You know what I gotta do is I gotta go onto Amazon and find like a grow your own mushroom kit and actually like grow the mushrooms before we do the class. So we will definitely be doing that. I'm super excited and like so excited that you guys are excited. Like all of you were just like, yes, I'm super excited. So amazing. I can't wait. If you guys like also have like extra ideas, because like you just gave me the idea for a business class, you're super into the mushroom class. If there's something special you guys want to see, let me know. My goal moving forward is that I'm going to do a free class like this every other month, if not every month. Like I said, I love this opportunity. Like after I don't know if you guys know, like after I get off this, like I'm gonna have such a high, like a natural high. Like I'm gonna get high, but I'm gonna have a natural high because I just get such good vibes and I love meeting with all of you. So super excited about the business class. Um, Super excited about the mushroom class. We'll get that going as well. Otherwise, thank you guys so much. I know I went over my time. We're like 30 minutes extra, but the fact that you stay here with me and keep talking to me is like amazing. I could just keep talking. I'll probably say thank you like 100 more times. So best to go. I gotta go pick up my son from lacrosse camp, and then we're gonna head back. My husband and my other son are in Florida at my Airbnb on the beach, and I'm kind of jealous. So we're gonna go back and meet up with them on Friday. But otherwise, I am super excited. If any of you did join me in the FICO medicine making workshop, I'm super excited. Everything's there waiting for you. Send me an email. I'm your teacher. Let me hold your hand. Let's get into this process together. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. And again, if I didn't get back to you specifically, please just send me an email, support@emilykylenutrition.com. I'm here to help. And thank you for being here, you guys. Have a great day.